Hey student, watch this video and learn about mistakes, common mistakes you shouldn't make when using modal verbs in English. Yes, if you don't know me very well, hello, I am Teacher Prix and I'm going to help you talk to anyone, anywhere, anytime in English. Make sure to subscribe to my channel, yes, because every week I post different kinds of English lessons to help you become a better and more confident English speaker. So, yes, if you have already subscribed, I appreciate it. You're helping this beautiful community grow. Now, I just ask you to hit the like button because that really helps the channel. It helps YouTube understand that this is a good channel. But here we go. Common mistakes with modal verbs. What you need to know. Now, guys, here on my channel, I help pre-intermediate and intermediate students to go from stuck to speaking in 6 months. And mistakes will be part of your journey. You know, I make mistakes. You are going to make mistakes. It happens to non-native speakers. But if you want to feel more confident, to build your English speaking skills and get out of the pre-intermediate zone, well, you need to start using the grammar you study. And there are some mistakes that students typically make when using certain modal verbs. So in this lesson, I'm going to be giving you some explanations. I'll be making some observations. I have many lessons here on my channel where I explain modal verbs in more detail, so check them out. But here, I'm going to focus on 3 specific mistakes that I have observed, that I have noticed in English students, okay? And as usual, as I always tell my students, to learn a lesson, I must use it. So post examples here in the comments, practice, use the lessons you study. But here we go. This is something that I do with my babies, when I ask you guys, post, participate. Every morning, every day actually, I go on the platform with my students, I check their examples, I give them feedback, because that's how you grow. That's how you get better, okay? Now, quick review. Teacher Prix, what is a modal verb? Guys, these are verbs that, it's a type of verb that indicates probability, permission, request, capacity, suggestion, obligation, necessity, possibility, advice. So this is a specific type of verb, and there are certain, it's not just one. There's a list of modal verbs. The traditional modal verbs are 9, okay? Shall, should, can, could, will, would, may, must, might. And then we have the quasi-modal verbs, okay? Or quasi. So there are 2 possible pronunciations, quasi or quasi. They're almost, they're not totally modal verbs, because a traditional modal verb doesn't include the preposition to, okay? And there are other little things about the typical modal verb. But the quasi-modal verbs, they typically need the preposition to. Yes, okay? So you need to. So I will talk a little bit about them. But this lesson is just to talk about mistakes. But I'm just showing you that we have these modal verbs so that in the future you check my channel and you see different lessons where I explain these modal verbs in more details because they have different uses. So here I'm just going to talk about the mistakes, not the total, all the different uses of these modal verbs. Maybe you don't even know that dare is a modal verb, that need is a modal verb. My God, teacher, really? Really? Yes, but that's not the goal of this lesson, okay? But with the quasi-modal verbs, you need the preposition to, and the way you use it is a little bit different. But in a future lesson, I can come back and talk about it, okay? But anyway, mistake number 1, and this mistake drives me crazy. It happens. I know, it happens. But pay attention. The mistakes I hear are, I can't to speak. He should to speak. I can't to be here. I may to leave. They must to study. No, okay? You don't use the preposition to with modal verbs. And here I wrote, I typed, I was preparing the lesson, of course. I wrote with the exception of ought to, with the exception of need, if it's been used as a modal verb, need, dare, and ought to, you're not going to use the preposition to. So here, with the exception of the quasi-modal verbs, okay? I only wrote ought to, I forgot, but we also have dare, we also have need. If it's being used as a modal verb, okay, then you will use to. But with the traditional ones, the popular ones, can, should, must, may. Then we can go back to the list. Shall, should, can, could, will, would, may, must, might, no. Okay? Then you're not going to use. Absolutely not. Teacher, will, yes. Will be an auxiliary verb, so watch out. Okay, will is also considered an auxiliary verb, but the most traditional ones, shall, I shall, let's shall we go? Should, can, could, may, might, must, no. Okay, don't use the preposition to. This is a common mistake. So you don't say, I can't speak, he should to go. I hear this all the time. I read your comments, and oftentimes I identify this common mistake, okay? So the correct examples would be, I can speak English well. He should speak more slowly. I can't be here. I may leave early. They must study hard. I ought to study more. Oh, I ought to study more. Then it's fine, okay? And then if I use dare, then I may need the preposition to. If I use the modal verb need, depending on how you use it, need can be considered a modal verb. So in that case, then you're going to use the preposition to. But with the traditional popular ones, must, may, might, will, should, no, okay? Watch out. I see this all the time when students are using modal verbs in both written language and spoken language. So this is something for you to be careful. Pay attention. As I always tell my babies, my BSA, my students, fluency, oh no. Fluency is communication, not perfection. Let's keep rolling. Common mistake number 2. Do you can work on Sundays? Did he can ride a bike? He doesn't may go. Oh my God. No. Okay, just no. This is also a common mistake. Not as common as the first one, but definitely one that I have seen in written and spoken language. And what is the catch here? With modal verbs, not auxiliary verbs, but with modal verbs, we don't need auxiliary verbs when asking a question. Typically what we do is we switch the position between the subject and the modal verb. So could he ride a bike? The past of can is could. Could he ride a bike? He may not go. You mustn't. Well, mustn't is not so common, okay, unless it's a prohibition. But you must not park here. This is an order. But you can say you must not or you mustn't. It's possible. But we don't use auxiliary verbs, okay? Do you can? No. Can you work on Sundays? So that's a common mistake, okay? So here, the corrections. Let me fix the slide. Oh, here. So can you work on Sundays? Could he ride a bike when he was a child? Should I read more? May he go? He may not go. So there you have it. So the second mistake is connected to the fact that sometimes students use modal verbs with auxiliary verbs, in questions or in negative sentences. So that's not it, okay? And even with the quasi-modal verbs, you don't, okay? And in addition to that, they are not so common, the quasi modal verbs that I talked at the beginning of the lesson. I will make a video here on my channel to talk about them because I think I haven't made a video about them yet. So I will, okay? With the exception of ought to, I haven't talked about need or dare as modal verbs. So I may come back here with this lesson for you guys. But they are not typically used in questions. But in negative sentences, you don't use auxiliary verbs either, okay? That's why sometimes you see need as needn't, because it's a modal verb and it's used in very specific situations. So watch out, okay? And subscribe, by the way. So this is the correct way. You remove the modal, the auxiliary verbs, and you switch the position between the subject and the modal verb. You switch the position, okay? So can you? Affirmative, you can. Negative, you can't. Question, can you? Okay? And you can also add a W8 question word. What can you do on Sunday mornings? Not the best example, but just to show you what I am trying to say, just to make my point, okay? And as usual, guys, make sure to subscribe to my channel, hit the like button. And as of this week, yesterday, I don't know when you're watching this, but yesterday was Easter. And I am making a special Easter week. And I am offering 3 courses of mine, not my academy, but 3 awesome products of mine for the price of 1. It's my study plan cycle, my phrasal verbs for conversation, and my listening mastery workshop. So the link will be available in the description of this video. This combo is not forever, okay? So maybe if you're clicking on the link, I don't know, 3 weeks from now, you will be redirected to my official page. But as of this week, there will be a special deal, a special price. It's an Easter combo so that you can get 3 products and pay for just 1, okay? It's a much better deal compared if you buy them separately. So check it out. The link is in the description of this video. But other than that, I will appreciate if you hit the like button. But now let's go to common mistake number 3. Future of can. Now, guys, this is also a very common mistake. What do you do if you want to express a future idea with the modal verb can? And I have seen, as I said before, this is connected to mistake number 2, but I wanted to make one slide just to talk about can because this is perhaps the second most common mistake. First, there is the inclusion of the preposition to, which is bad, very common. And then this one is like super common, which is to use will plus can to express the idea of future. And you cannot do that, okay? So you cannot use can go to the movies. No, you can't. If you want to express a future idea, when you're thinking, can, no, you can't, okay? You cannot do that. But what if you want to express a future idea? It is possible, but you will need to use be able to. So if you want to express a future idea of can, use will plus be plus able plus to. So here are some examples. I'm sorry, I won't be able to help you next weekend. I'm sure you will be able to speak English well on your next vacation. Yeah, you will be able to speak English over the next 6 months if you keep watching my lessons and if you use what you study. I know you will be able to talk to anyone, anywhere, anytime in English. Yes, but do the work. So that's the idea, guys. So in this case, if I want to express a future idea, I have to use will plus be able to. That's a good verb. Actually, my favorite one if you're trying to describe a future idea. Remember, it's a future idea. The translation is not literally the same. Also, another thing I often talk to my students in my academy, don't focus on translation, focus on explanation and context. When you learn by context, it's easier to improve your vocabulary, understand grammar more easily, and communicate more efficiently in English. So there you have it, my friends. I hope you enjoyed this video. Make sure to subscribe to my channel, share this lesson with a friend, and if you're interested, check out this Easter combo. I'm sure it'll be very useful to you. And if this condition is already gone, check my study plan cycle. I know it'll be amazing on your journey to fluency. Thank you so much, and I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.